India's emergence as a global player is attracting invitations for New Delhi to take a lead and sort out some brutal conflicts raging in the world. Here's a report.
There's a certain glamour to being in the middle of the photo op, the hearty three-way handshake, and it's a tried and tested method for many countries with ambitions of positioning themselves as the masters of the universe. From the gigantic and powerful United States to the rich, quiet and tiny Norway, many countries have ventured where angels fear to tread, in the crossfire between other warring countries. US President Carter held hands with Egypt's Anwar Sadat and Israel's Menachem Begin. Bill Clinton beamed on as Israel's Yitzhak Rabin and PLO chairman Yasser Arafat gingerly shook hands. Norway's peace envoy, Erik Solheim, smiled into cameras each time he posed with Colombo officials and the separatist liberation tigers in Sri Lanka. However, most attempts have failed, with analysts pointing out that it is because they had stakes of varying kinds in the conflicts themselves. But what about emerging superpower India? Could India's renowned neutrality position it as the ideal peacemaker, say in Syria, or in the Qatar crisis, or between its important strategic partner Israel and old friend Palestine? Take a look at two recent invitations conveyed through exclusive conversations with WION.
First of all, if we want to talk about the political part, the most important factor for any player to play any role in such a complicated conflict is to have credibility. And India, through the history, has always been credible. Through the different parties that took power in India, we never noted that there's any fluctuation in their policy, because it's based on morals and ethics, as I said. So this credibility is a very important factor for India to play a role, not necessarily within Syria, because the Syrian conflict is not only Syrian.
Right.
The main factors are regional and international. And the most important part of this, that how can we protect the international law?
India has no vested interests in the Syrian conflict, nor has it taken sides even with Syria. So why the offer from Damascus? Perhaps Palestinian legislator Hanan Ashrawi's forthcoming interview to WION holds a clue.
And we think there's a role for India. We were talking about a formulation of P5+1+. We don't like the quartet formulation because it doesn't work. It hasn't worked, and it has become an instrument of American power.
India has aimed to maintain good relations with all countries it has diplomatic ties with, a policy New Delhi will almost certainly adhere to, even as it increasingly takes centre stage in the global arena. In contentious voting, India has abstained and often turned an icy shoulder to superpower demands that it bend in the one direction or another. All the religions of the world are represented in India, as are various global ethnic groups. It has been a scrupulous contributor to international peacekeeping operations. Atithi Devo Bhava, the guest is God, runs an ancient Sanskrit motto. But India's Foreign Office has refused to crash parties and certainly doesn't appreciate uninvited guests on its own sovereign territory. Will New Delhi accept to step in the Middle East? Unlikely. But just being asked is a heartening sign that the world's largest democracy has arrived. Padma Rao, WION.